I'd like to call this meeting to order, this meeting of the Region 12 Board of Education at 7:04 p.m. We appear to have a quorum, but I would ask Lisa Rausch, our secretary, to please call the roll.
Okay. Joe.
Here.
John.
Here.
Greg.
Here.
Angela. Here. Alex.
Here.
Justin.
Here.
Jen. Here. I am here. Jane. Here. Julie.
Here.
Julie Stewart.
She's on the computer.
Oh, on Zoom. Okay. Peter.
Here.
And Mary. Here.
Mary is on the computer.
Okay. Very good.
Remote. So we do have all 12 members. At this point, I'm going to move down the agenda. As many of you know, Megan Bennett will be leaving us as our superintendent, and her time with us is getting short. Her last official day will be the 30th of June. And as we are not likely to have a new superintendent in place, we have decided to engage an interim superintendent. And I would like to introduce her to you this evening. We have appointed Dr. Lori Rodriguez as our interim superintendent of schools. I'll give you just a little bit about her background. She started out as a junior high arts language teacher in the Danbury public school system. She was there for 2 years, then went to become a middle school English teacher in Newtown Middle School. And that went from 92 to 98. Then she was a high school English teacher at Newtown High School from 98 to 2000, after which she became an assistant principal at Newtown High School from 2000 to 05, a middle school principal right here at Chippewa Valley School from 2005 to 2008, high school principal at Pomperog from 2008 to 2014, high school principal at Newtown from 2014 to 2017, and since 2017, she has been the superintendent of schools in the Newtown Public School District. Give me 1 second here. Her educational background: she has a BA from Fairfield University in English and Secondary Education, an MA from Fairfield University in Teaching and Foundations, 6-year Sacred Heart University Educational Leadership, and a PhD from North Central University in Educational Leadership. She has won a number of awards. I'm going to just take the list down a little bit so we're not here all night. She was Middle School Teacher of the Year during her time in Newtown Public Schools. She's a member of a national honor society, the Kappa Delta Phi National Education Honor Society. She's been on the National Board of Professional Teaching Standards. She's won an Excellence Award twice from SNET, and she was Principal of the Year for Connecticut in 2017. And she's written several things in addition to that. Lori, would you please stand up? We are very fortunate to have an accomplished superintendent as our interim superintendent. And I promise I won't tell your husband that you didn't retire quite yet, as you intended to.
So thank you for that wonderful introduction. It's I'm still, no, sorry.
There you go. It should be on the.
Thank you. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. It's so nice to be in a familiar setting. I have to, it's still muted. Tell me when it's okay.
Yeah, she's unmuted. Yeah.
Okay. I have to tell you, I love Region 12. So I was actually retiring and had no immediate plans whatsoever to do anything for at least a while, until Meg reached out and asked if I would be interested. And I honestly, it was a no-brainer. I jumped at the chance. My memories are so wonderful of this district. You have such a bright, talented, dedicated staff here. Those are my memories of wonderful students and families. It's such a close-knit, regional community. And those are my fondest memories, and made so many close connections. So I really didn't give it much thought. And my husband said, "You must be kidding me. You didn't even finish in Newtown yet." But he knows the love I had for this district when I was here and never forgot that. And Meg and I have a wonderful working relationship, a deep respect for each other and the work that we've done in both districts. We have Newtown students who are in the ag science program, obviously. And I jumped at, I think twice I brought a cadre of staff here to see it. I'm a horse lover, so for me, it was just an excuse to pet the horses and kiss them. But I will tell you that I'm really excited to be back, and I will work very closely. Meg has done what I consider an outstanding job in this community, and I know she will be missed. I know by our group, she will be forever missed. And I'll do whatever I can to keep that momentum going, Meg. And I know that's important. Anyone who's worked for me, and Jane Sargent, hi. Jane worked for me in Region 15. Glad to see you. I just noticed you, I'm sorry. Anyone who's ever worked for me, I think Jane or anyone else will tell you I'm highly approachable and accessible. I really believe relationships and communication are both key as a leader, and that won't change when I come here as interim. And I'll work closely with Meg. We have plans to meet so that it's a smooth transition, and I'm really excited. So again, please, I really am excited to work with each of you as board members. Don't hesitate to reach out to me at all. And thank you for inviting me back. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
We are now going from a extremely accomplished superintendent
Thank you very much. All right. Well, one, I'm going to just say, and I know I'm sidestepping, but wonderful choice, board. And I know that Lori's going to do great things. And I'm a little jealous of what's going to happen next. So this evening, we are very excited. This is every single board member who walked in said that tonight is their favorite night of everything that they do all year round. It's the showcase of our students. And is everything that you have accomplished, and it's a way that we celebrate not just you, your good character. This is also a way that your parents get to brag without really bragging because they have a trophy to show for all of the things you've done. But it's something that it's not a moment in time. This is what our students do day in and day out. And so unfortunately, Principal Quell is not able to be here today. So I'm going to share on her behalf for Booth Free and Burnham, and then we will welcome up Mrs. Judd and Principal Shells in order to also share their recognition of the students who have received the Superintendent Student Award. So let me begin with our first student. Our first student from Booth Free Elementary School, a hearty congratulations to Madison Foreman, a 5th grader. Madison, can you come up as I brag about you for a moment, please? This pack gets awfully heavy. All right, you're gonna show off and I'm just gonna talk, okay? All right, you tell me if I say anything wrong about you. Okay. All right, so Madison Foreman is a dependable, hardworking 5th grader at Booth Free Elementary School in Roxbury. She has made so much growth in her mindset and determination this year, and now consistently puts her best effort into academic work and always perseveres. She's a member of the school band, chorus, and local 4-H club. Outside of school, Madison enjoys showing cows at 4-H, helping to care for her family goats, and I believe we have some of those in our agri-science program, right? Didn't you help that? They didn't even write that down for me. And also reading Harry Potter books. Madison is a loyal and caring friend who deserves the recognition for her kindness to others and her strong work ethic. Congratulations, Madison. We're very proud of you. All right, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have you sit down, unless you wanna stand up here and wait for everybody else. I figured, okay, so we're gonna have you sit down, and then at the end, in the intermission, you're gonna have to come back because we'll have a picture with everybody all together. Does that sound like a good plan? All right, excellent. Congratulations. That's yours, dear. You hold on to that. Don't let go. All right. And can I please have Libby Plants please come up? I'm going to go get your trophy and we'll meet right back here in one moment. You're a quick walker. And look at, I didn't even need to tell them to clap. They knew how good you are. That's impressive. All right, so Libby, same thing. You're gonna tell me if I say anything wrong about how fabulous you are, but I hear really good things. So Libby is a 5th grader at Burnham School. Libby Plants is an outstanding student at Burnham School. Libby models leadership and demonstrates kindness and creativity. Libby volunteers for the Student Council and fundraising in our kindness campaign. Libby's always volunteering to help fellow classmates. She's a strong student and a passionate reader. She is contributing member of the Invention Convention and an avid athlete. Libby values her friends, her family, and nature, as well as her dog Mojo. We commend Libby for her determination and positive citizenship. She is well deserving of this award. Congratulations, Libby. All right, we're gonna have you come back up afterwards, so in between, and we'll do a group picture then, okay? All right, congratulations. At this time, I would like to invite up Principal Judd.
Good evening, everyone. At Washington Primary School, we'd like to recognize Quinn Evans. Can you clap, Quinn? Tonight. So Quinn is a 5th grader at Washington Primary School who embodies the characteristic of our TAILS philosophy. She is trustworthy and displays an attitude of gratitude. Quinn's greatest strength is that she's an includer. Quinn's kind-hearted actions help others in the school community feel welcomed and valued. Quinn is also a leader of her learning and displays exemplary self-regulation. Quinn currently plays field hockey and softball. Next year, she wants to join the swim team. Quinn has 2 aspirations. One, she wants to be an actor, and she currently is working on a play for our students about good character. So she's very animated there. And she hopes to own a restaurant one day. So this is Quinn, and we are so grateful to honor you tonight with this award. Congratulations.
Yes. Good evening, and we're going to talk about some Chicago students, and first Mr. Croft is going to announce his candidate.
So I'm very pleased to be able to present the Superintendent's Student Recognition Award to James Dowling Euchers. So in his absence, I'm going to get to talk about James a little bit anyways, which is going to be fun to do. James is a creative, supportive, persistent, patient, reliable, and engaged student. He excels as a student, as an engineer, as a Boy Scout, and as a friend. He makes our community and the little communities within it better in small and subtle ways every time he's around. And so I look forward to giving this to James tomorrow, I think, when I see him in school.
Congratulations to James, and I have 2 Superintendent's Awards to announce 2, and this is one of the nicest parts of my job. The first recipient is Sean Bennett. Is Sean here? Come on up, Sean. Stand up here in the spotlight. Stand up here in the spotlight. This is one of our students who's so humble that I think he seeks to avoid the spotlight, but I don't think he's going to be able to stay out of the spotlight going forward because of his talents. So Sean is a junior at Chippewa Valley School. Nice to see you again here tonight. And he's one of the nicest kids. He always talks to me in the hallways, which is not a given as a principal, right? And he's overcome a lot, and he's shown great resilience to achieve at a very high level in the classroom. And in addition to those achievements in the classroom, he's one of our leaders in the plant science, agri-science pathway. And I think one of his favorite parts of the day is when he's in the greenhouse. Sean exemplifies the spirit of inquiry that we value in our school as he tackles the unknown with courage and humility. He supports and inspires his peers through all aspects of intellectual discussion and physical work, and inspiration is worth its weight in gold. So don't go changing, okay? Congratulations. And next, Charles Cuna. Is Charles here? If not, I can still say some very honorific things, okay? So Charles Cuna is a senior at Chippewa Valley School. Charles is a very inquisitive student who has an insatiable thirst for knowing anything and everything. Charlie came to Chippewa Valley School actually as a junior and handled that situation with courage, grace, and resilience, quickly becoming part of our family. And Charlie excels in the classroom and lends a deeper insight and level of empathy, awareness, maturity, and creativity to discussions, allowing for a richer and more meaningful experience for all students. And what I recently found out by talking to Charlie is that Charlie loves astronomy and is going to be a big part of helping us get our planetarium up and running as the year winds out. So this award is for Charlie. We'll make sure that Charlie gets it, and I'm very glad to confer it.
And at this time, can I have all of those who have their plaque and just received their awards, please come up. We're going to do a quick photo, and this will give us time to transition. We're about to go into our leadership awards. All right, ready? Principal Jack, can you please join us? Assistant Principal Croft, Principal Shells, can you please join us as well? Come on, oh, we want you all in. Come on in. Hold up that plaque, please. This is stuff we put on the website. I know, yeah. This is where you come alive. This is it. Yeah, I know. I'm gonna position myself. Where am I to look the tallest?
I get better looking at that, so.
Thank you all. And I'm actually going to share Superintendent Rodriguez, when she shared at the Western Connecticut group about how rare that award you just received was. There are 500,000 students in Connecticut. Only 500 of them win this award. So you look, that is less than 1%, and that is where you are. So congratulations to you and what you show each and every day in our schools. Very, very impressive. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to our Chippewa leadership to share the leadership awards.
Hayden, come on up. I'm very pleased to get the opportunity to say a few words about Hayden Fisher and to present her with this very fine and attractive Student Leadership Award. Hayden is an 8th grader here at Chippewa Valley School. She is, if I can take the liberty to impose a few words upon you, which I have now. Hayden is curious. She demonstrates a lot of curiosity. She's hardworking. She's brave. She is fun. She is a civic-minded steward, in my view, of humanity and the natural world. Her contributions to our school are comprehensive. There isn't really a piece of our community that she doesn't touch, from clubs, activities, and sports teams to small interactions with peers and teachers. And I am therefore very pleased to be able to present Hayden Fisher with this Student Leadership Award. Look at Mr. Allen. Sonny, come on up, please. So I think that the leadership qualities that Sonny's teachers had in mind when they selected him for this Student Leadership Award are exemplified and demonstrated when you look at Sonny in a group. Some people close off others with their body language, and some people struggle to connect with others. And Sonny doesn't do those things. He does the opposite. He connects people, he welcomes people, he invites people with his body language and his words. And that is maybe the highest form of leadership, I think. He is a welcoming, striving, engaged Renaissance person who lifts others up. And not for nothing, as soon as the bus delivering the soccer team to the game shows up in the parking lot, he's worth 2 goals as soon as he steps off the bus.
Two more leadership awards for high school students. The first is for Wyatt King. Wyatt, could you approach, please? Now, where do I begin this one with such a talented character? I actually had to do some homework, and I went to colleagues, counselors, teachers, and I said, what are the first words that come to your mind when we talk about these students who are about to receive these awards? And for Wyatt, here's what I heard: intellectual, analytical, philosophical, visionary, but just important, affable and kind. And listen to the resume: philosophy club, debate team, model UN, National Honor Society, Math National Honor Society, theater, stage crew for 4 years. He's a playwright. In 2020, he wrote and directed an original play. That play won a Halo Award for the best original play and special recognition for directing. Did you direct it too?
Yeah.
Are you a musician also?
I am a musician.
That's not on here. Make that clear. What do you, what kind
I play both the tenor saxophone and the clarinet.
All right, let's not miss that. Those are near and dear to my heart. So you can see we've got a full Renaissance person here, and how grateful I've been to get to know Wyatt a little bit during my first year here. Wyatt's going to attend Columbia University in the fall to study political science and statistics, and I will be fine if you're running the world when I'm in a wheelchair. Okay, Wyatt? Congratulations. Okay. The next leadership award is for Caroline Kibbe. Caroline, can you come up? Okay, what are the words that come to mind? Humble, compassionate, determined, conscientious, well-rounded, responsible, high moral compass. We need you in the White House. Founder of the Mathletes Club. And let me just say something about that. You know, with our students, You can get a lot of who they are from their resumes and what you know. Let me tell you something you might not know. Caroline came into me one day and said, you know, math competition. How many of you here, anybody here who are ever on a math team and go to a math competition in high school? All right. And you know, with all due respect, they can be stolid sometimes, you know? And she said, I don't want them to be so stuffy. I don't want them to be so old fashioned. I want to design a new style, a new genre of math competition where people are coming in and socializing and doing breakout rooms and solving problems in cooperative ways. And she did it. And we had some math competitions here. If you came to it, you would have thought you were at the prom. That's how wonderful. High intellect, but also high human appeal. Okay. So the founder of the Mathletes Club, she's been in Model UN, also the stage crew for 3 years, Halo nominee for Best Costume Design and/or Execution for The Wizard of Oz, National Honor Society member, Science National Honor Society, tutor extraordinaire, and she'll attend Brown University in the fall to study mathematics. What a wonderful resume. Thank you for all you've done for our students. Congratulations.
Our next set of recognition is a culmination of 4 years' work, but not regular 4 years. No. We're talking COVID, we're talking building projects. We're talking in the light of chaos, they still were able to show their intelligence, take challenging classes, and to demonstrate absolute academia in all sense of the manner here at Chapag. So at this time, I would like to have Principal Shells please introduce our top 5 for the senior class of 2022.
Well, while a grade point average is an imperfect metric to capture the total nuance of these human beings, it's one of the things of which people can be proud. And they should be rightfully proud. And I will announce the top 5. And falling in the top 5, stated in alphabetical order, we have first Janelle Franklin. Is Janelle here? Janelle is a leader. She's caring. She's energetic. She's dedicated. She's hardworking. She's a 3-sport athlete: soccer, basketball, and tennis. 2022 scholar athlete, NHS, member of the Spartan Club. They do so much good work for our school. Member of the Student Council. Started a volleyball club this year as part of her senior project, and she will attend the University of Tennessee in the fall to study nursing. What a wonderful, noble calling. Congratulations on all you've accomplished here, Janelle. Yeah. Also falling in the top 5 and continuing in alphabetical order, next is Ryan Sarbello. Congratulations, Ryan. Thoughtful, creative, intellectually curious, diligent, kind, trustworthy. Also member of the Spartan Club, the Yearbook Club, the National Honor Society, the Math National Honor Society. He was in the On the Topic of Thought Club. I want to join that. Swam and soccer teams 3 years. Aren't you a pitcher too? He's also a pitcher. And he'll attend Villanova University in the fall to study mechanical engineering, which means he wants to figure out how to solve problems and make life better for the rest of us. Good for you. Congratulations, Ryan. Yeah. Also in the top 5 alphabetically stated is Harlequin Sullivan. Congratulations. All right, creative, enthusiastic, compassionate, sincere, witty, self-driven. Have you ever seen her act? NHS, debate team, Mathletes, Model UN, the Gender Sexuality Alliance, nominated for a Halo for a performance in The Wizard of Oz. Do you want to do any bit of the, do you want to do No, okay, all right. Maybe just the "Oh, what a world" part. I love that. No, all right. You don't have to do it. She was wonderful in the play. Nominated for a Halo, very well rounded. Just the roots of the Greek ideal with Harlequin here, and it's been a joy getting to know her. And she will attend Ithaca College. Bring your heavy coat. Ithaca College in the fall to study cinema and photography, nourishing us with art as we need as we go forward. So thank you and congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. So is that it? Did I forget anything? Is there anything left to do? Oh, there's more. Oh, there's more. Okay. So our salutatorian this year, drum roll, is Mr. Wyatt King. Congratulations. Now, I extolled Wyatt's virtues before, so I won't embarrass him more, but let's just say, maybe this is a jewel in the crown of all I said before. In addition to everything you've done, you kept up with your studies with such proficiency and such an authentic desire to learn. This is richly deserved, and I'm very happy for you. Okay. And then we come to our valedictorian, and that will be Ms. Caroline Kitty. And I think what a joy it is, and no, students don't owe us this, but when we get it as educators, we lap it up. What a joy it is to see intellect so perfectly coincide with compassion and kindness. And I'm very happy that you're in this situation. Congratulations.
So in an evening of celebrating accomplishments and everything that is wonderful in our schools, it is time that we also recognize our volunteers. And we've seen volunteers take different shapes and different forms during this entire pandemic. But we have certainly seen that these people are the backbones of our schools. These are people who make certain that the show does go on, that every student feels cared about and is celebrated, and events go off without a hitch. So again, on behalf of Principal Coella, I'm going to speak about the volunteer extraordinaires. So let me begin with the volunteer extraordinaire from Booth Free School, Megan Hodge. Now, as Megan comes up, I'm going to explain what comes in her swag bag. So she does have a Region 12 volunteer t-shirt. So in case you see her on the street, she is a willing participant. We are going to make certain that is known to the public. Additionally, she has chocolate because everything is better with chocolate, sunglasses, and a Region 12 pin because we truly think you are part of this staff. So let me say some really nice things about you. Megan Hodge is the Booth Free Schools 2021-2022 Volunteer Extraordinaire. Megan has been a member of the Booth Free community since 2008. That is 14 years of dedication. For most of this time, Megan has been an active member of the PTO, serving in many capacities, most recently as vice president. Megan has been in the enrichment program chairperson for more than 10 years, bringing many wonderful programs to Booth Free for students to learn from and enjoy. Megan is also an active member of the town of Roxbury and a member of the fire department's Lady Auxiliary and an EMT. all of that plus nursing during the day and raising your children. That is fantastic. But we want to say thank you, Megan. You truly are a wonderful volunteer and the backbone of our schools. I would now like to recognize Burnham Schools volunteer extraordinaire, Crystal Kozlowski. Tokalewski, I'm so sorry. I know her as Crystal. But Crystal is this year's volunteer extraordinaire at Burnham School. Crystal's commitment to our school and the Bridgewater community is always apparent. She is a tireless advocate of students' need and a staunch supporter of our faculty and staff. She is a cheerful participant in countless Burnham School activities. She's been an active participant in all fundraising efforts, attending them, and also volunteering to work at them. Crystal has designed the PTO handbook for the last few years, as well as spearheaded updating the PTO welcome packet. Crystal's positive presence in our school and in the Bridgewater community is always felt and appreciated. And for those who don't know, on a moment's notice, I also know that you put together all of those things to make certain that Dr. Rue felt welcomed at your school. So I want to say all of your efforts are noticed, and thank you so much, Crystal, for being a volunteer extraordinaire. And at this time, I'd like to welcome Principal Judd to share the wonderful volunteer from Washington Primary School.
So Washington Primary School would like to recognize Jessie Barr as the 2022 Volunteer Extraordinaire. Is Jessie here? I didn't see her. Well, I have some wonderful things to share about her. Jessie is a parent of Evelyn in kindergarten and Eliza in 4th grade. Over the past several years, Jessie has been an active member of the PTO as class representative, secretary, and in her current position as vice president. She has been instrumental in reinvigorating fundraising efforts and organizing events such as the Halloween Spooky Trail and the bake sales at the Holiday in the Depot. Most recently, Jessie served on our Green Week committee to organize many enrichment activities for our students. One such focus was on endangered animals and threatened animals in Connecticut, such as the bat. To support these efforts, Jessie devoted many hours researching how we could help bats in our area and facilitated a partnership with the Washington Environmental Council to support our students in building several bat houses for Steep Rock. Jessie's dedication to our school, her creativity, and her willingness to do great things for our students makes her an exceptional volunteer at Washington Primary School. So wish her the best.
And at this time, Principal Shells and Assistant Principal Croft will share the extraordinary volunteers from Chippewa.
Okay, thank you. For Chippewa Valley School, first I want to nominate Julie King. Yeah, she doesn't need me to get applause for her. She does it on her own. Julie is a bona fide bedrock of this community. She's an extremely successful and respected business person, dedicated wife and mother, yet still found time to be the president of our PTO, and in fact, to be an integral part of our PTO in many different ways over many years. If there is an event at Chippewa, odds are that Julie produced some of its key components. From feeding hungry students after play practice, to planning social events, to helping us build our vision for our schools, Julie has done it all. And all of that would be enough to merit gratitude and attention. But Julie radiates an intense aura of interest in the continued success of our schools. Skilled in marketing, certainly aware of how to stage curb appeal, Julie dedicated herself to being an incredible ambassador for Chippewa and Region 12. Our students, parents, and teachers contributed excellence, but Julie made sure everyone knew about that excellence by liaising with the press, curating, producing Chapag's brag boards, publicizing our productions, and in fact, I think really developing our brand, I'll say. Julie's efforts are key to the eminence of our school, the eminence our schools now project. What an incredible voice you have been for Chapag and all our schools. What an incredible advocate and ally. Julie, we sincerely thank you for your service. And second, I'd like to nominate Daryl Wright. Now, Daryl is a man, and you know this, I'm sure if you know him, he's a man who wants to make a difference. A longtime first responder, master electrician, self-made business owner, and a congenial man about town who could probably be mayor if he wanted. I know that's not a Connecticut thing. Where I'm from, they have mayors, okay? Probably be mayor if he wanted. I think Daryl is happiest when he's working towards some charitable goal with his friends and community members. If you attended any events at Chapag this year and noticed the seemingly omnipresent pizza truck, you can partly thank Daryl for that heavenly aroma. In fact, whenever our students needed to raise money for a cause or enliven an event, Daryl gave generously of his time, money, and talents. But again, now all that would be enough on its own. Here's the part about Daryl that I think educators love best. He has taken a keen interest in developing a sense of civic virtue among our students. Unsolicited, he extended himself to this school, to me, earlier in the year, promising to help any Chapag student who needs to acquire their community service hours by connecting them with important, wholesome community projects. Daryl wants to make good things happen around here, and he wants them to well up from the community, especially from our students, to build not only infrastructure, but also character. So he's a great friend of our schools, and he richly deserves this honor. Thank you, Daryl.
I'd like to ask Mr. Robert Perrin to join me up here. So one of the challenges that a nascent agri-science academy has is that it is inevitably compared with programs that are 50 and 60 and 70 years older than itself. And that has been one of our big challenges over these last 4 years. And I think that at the root of the disadvantage that a new program has is that there are 60 years of alumni at, for example, Housatonic, pick one, who have made their careers in agriculture in their communities, who have retained connections with their school, with their alma maters, with the agri-science programs that they grew up in, and have sent support in many ways to their alma maters. And so one of our challenges has been to develop both those alumni who will send back energy and strength to our academy, but also to build other connections in our 3 towns of Region 12 and in our sending towns more broadly in Western Connecticut. And Robert has, I believe, helped us to do that in ways that are small and subtle, but really powerful, as evidenced by the number of youngsters from New Fairfield who want to drive far to come to Chapag and our Agri-Science Academy. So he has volunteered his time, he has volunteered his energy, but above all, he has proven to be a tireless champion for our program, for our school, for our Agri-Science Academy. And it's one of the reasons that we are closing that gap in community support in the number of champions that exist in our community and beyond for our program. Robert, thank you so much.
So I'm going to wrap up our volunteer extraordinaire with our district volunteer extraordinaire. So no pressure on me as I stand between you and a snack table. So I'm going to ask our volunteer extraordinaire, Jay Hubblebank, to please come up. So I'm going to say to everyone here, surround yourself with people who ask smart questions. Surround yourself with people who push you, who make you question your current practices, and who are reflective with you. And that's what Jay is. Jay will come in very nicely into my office and just say, so what's happening with recycling in the schools? And I will say, what's happening with recycling in schools? And he'll say, can we do a little more? And the answer is yes, we can. But he doesn't leave it at that. He doesn't leave me to flounder. He finds people to help us. He finds people who are going to make a better experience for our students. I don't know where you find the time, because between being on the Environmental Council, Sustainability Council, Building Committee, and a selectman in Washington, he finds time to be thoughtful of our students and how to make our communities better. And we appreciate your time and your volunteerism, because we're better for it. Thank you, Jen. So, Sir
Okay.
Chairman, is it up to you at this time? If you would like to call a recess, we certainly have some snacks. And I think that our board members may want to speak with some of these outstanding award winners tonight.
Well, we will be temporarily in recess for social and food. That was like the flashing lights. You see.
You did. Good flicker, good flicker.
Yeah. All right, after that recess, I'll call the meeting to order again. And we'll move on to, do people make sure we turn off our volume? I heard my echo. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is public comment on agenda items. I don't know if anyone, any members of the public have comments. If you do, please use the raised hand feature and I'll call on Joan Lotzen.
Thank you, Greg. I don't have the raised hand features. I just raised my hand. Congratulations on appointing an interim superintendent, but I'm curious because a few meetings ago, you were going to announce a superintendent. And I'm wondering where the position was advertised, how many applicants there were, and how many were interviewed. And are we close to with no disrespect to Lori, are we close to a superintendent?
I'm not going to comment on I'm not going to comment on this, on the status of an ongoing process like that. So, sorry. Does anyone else have any comments they'd like to make? Please, if you can use the raise hand feature or raise your hand, it would be appreciated. I'm looking here and I'm not seeing any others. Okay. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda. And that's the consent agenda. Does anyone want to take the minutes of the annual district meeting of May 2nd or the Board of Education meeting of April 25th off of the consent agenda for attention? If not, and seeing none, those will be considered adopted. Megan, do you want to give us another update on COVID-19?
So as people who are keeping up to date with my emails, and when you see my emails coming often, it does mean that we are seeing a resurgence of COVID infections in Region 12. Those who are interested in tracking our latest numbers, they are on the website, and we do track it by week. One of the things we want people to see is how are we trending? And I can tell you that 2 weeks ago, we hit our high at 19, then 17. But right now, our most impacted school is booth-free elementary. Given the number of cases that we've had over the past 3 weeks, we know that we have a large number of contacts, and therefore we did switch over starting tomorrow to requiring masks at booth-free school from Tuesday, May 24th through Friday, May 27th, and we will continue to reevaluate. But for right now, this is a time sensitive. We recognize that the infection rate is high, and this is our attempt to curb some of the transmission while recognizing going to remote learning is not optimal. And in a conversation I had with our Department of Health, it's more risky to have remote learning because we at least have a structured environment right now. Booth free, and all of our staffs have been instructed to move learning outside as much as possible. We want to make certain, again, that we are providing the healthiest conditions. We recognize, and what gives me comfort is that the medical community has been able to respond to COVID infection. So in the hospitalization rates are high, it's not moving to the intensive care unit. We are seeing that the medical intervention, that they are able to combat some of the symptoms of COVID. But nonetheless, this is not about us wanting to take any risks with our students, and therefore requiring masks was a response. It's a short-term response, and I thank our entire community for their patience and understanding. And I thank this board for allowing me the permission to make those adjustments as we see appropriate. We did not need to wait until a board meeting to make a decision on whether we were going to mask or not mask. We're able to respond based on public health. And so right now, again, we are requiring masks at booth, and I will open up if there are any questions people have at this time about our COVID update.
I do not see any. Okay, thank you very much. We'll move on to reports and recognition. We'll start with my report. For those of you that had the privilege of being at the grand opening or the ribbon cutting ceremony, this was a great day for Region 12 and a great day for Chippewa. We had a lot of people there. We had I went on several tours that students gave. I spent a lot of time with our students. I talked to a lot of them. I really impressed with what the students in this school are doing, and these were ag science students, and I will tell you, it was an impressive thing. The interest, the knowledge, the fact that there are different. Some students are very interested in large animals, some in small, some in plants, some in powers and structures, and every path we've got students in it, and they are championing those paths. We had some students who have brought 2 dairy cows to our facility because that's what interests them. And so we see students champion various areas of this program, and it really holds out great promise. And I, can almost not wait till next year when we finally have all four grade levels here with a full-size class and a more full teaching faculty. And I think that this is only heading in a great direction. But I wish you could have been there. I wish you could have seen it. I wish you could have seen the. We had to spend some time with the jaws, picking them up off the floor of people that have never been in the school before or hadn't been in it in 20 years, at what they saw in terms of not just our facilities, but our students and our faculty members. And it was really a great day. And yes, every speech given out near the new graduation stage, every speech was punctuated by Peppermint Patty, who gave us a lot of bellowing from the cattle pen. And it's funny because somebody would say something and lead up to something, and then, man, right in there, just mooing to beat the band. So again, a great day. And that's all I'm going to say tonight. We'll move on to your report, Megan.
Okay, so mine is very festive. I love this time of year because it's the time to recognize all of the wonderful things happening in our schools. So I want to congratulate the Chappaqua Drama Club for their wonderful performance of The Wizard of Oz. It was a true stroke of genius to include our middle school students in this production because we recognize that the most impacted programs in Chappaqua during the pandemic have really been our music programs. We recognize that producing Aerosol, we've shifted gears many times in which they moved to percussion and did things so we didn't get to have the art of music in our hallways. And so when you do that, you lose the ability to have a feeder program. So we have students who really did not continue with their musical passions. So introducing the middle school students introduces a new crop of drama production. And I think that was a very wise idea. And so I also get to now congratulate, we have Daly. She's a 5th grade student at Booth Free School, and her award-winning science project, the Bee Cozy, Diana won at the state level. So her ingenious, what she did was recognize that bees get cold. So she actually created a warmer for them. If you think of like a little koozie cup holder, so it insulates the bees, and her project will be on display for a month at the Science Center. So again, helping us get recognition and the excellence that's happening in our classrooms. I also want to share how proud I am of our senior class. They traveled to Kent this past week for their senior trip. And this turned out to be a very serendipitous trip because with the uptick of COVID, I know originally there were some upset students that we weren't traveling down to New York or going to Washington, DC. Those would have had to have been canceled. So instead, glamping won out. But what actually won out was the team building. And our students coming together and having stories and looking out for one another and creating memories. And I think what we really see is what is the best thing in our community, which is togetherness. And they get to have that moment before they graduate. And given everything that this class has been through, I think it was a wonderful time and made up for a lot of lost opportunities. So thank you to Taylor Pierce and Stephanie Shook, who coordinated with their seniors, and very, very proud moments. We also need to recognize that once again, our all 3 elementary schools have been recognized by the Governor's Reading Challenge with 100% participation. And I know that kind of seems like not a big deal because you've heard this before, but I think it's important to know that when you go up to Hartford, there are less than 12 schools across the state that are recognized. And very few of these schools, actually only 1 or 2, have their entire district recognized. And here we are, our entire district, multiple years, and it is a credit to Principal Coelho and Principal Judd's commitment to promoting readers. And to have that recognized, it's something that we say and we gloss over because it happens down in Hartford, but it really is an amazing accomplishment. A reminder to everyone that Thursday, June 2nd, Booth Free School will be celebrating its distinction as #1 elementary school in Connecticut by the U.S. News and World Report. We are looking forward to sharing the honor with the community. So those who can, make certain that that is marked on your calendar because we are very excited. And I do know that there's a citation that is being given to the school in recognition for this accomplishment.
Megan, can you remind us again the day and time?
It is Thursday, June 2nd. I want to say 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay, 10 o'clock, but I will certainly confirm and we will make certain that is noticed out into the public and we'll push that promotion. And I'm going to echo what Greg shared about the agri-science ribbon cutting. I really need to thank everyone behind the scenes. And I was talking to the administrative team because there were so many things that were happening that day that were happening because people had an attention to detail. And whether or not it was, you know, picking up the balloons or making certain that they were the right cookies or who did the cake, or the fact that one of our septic tanks wasn't working and Don O'Leary had to take care of that behind the scenes and nobody knew. Again, recognizing that all of these things that are happening are often thankless. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate Nicole Grant and making certain that everybody has got everything that they need and making certain that it's not just checks are being written, but she's asking those questions like, well, did you call this caterer? Maybe this one can do it. And then to know that our, and dog sits, although she did tell me that Roxy almost went home with her. But additionally, you know, like Don O'Leary, who should have been basking in the fact of look at how much he had done for those facilities, and instead he's making certain it's just functioning. And, you know, I sit there and watched as every one of our administrators who had a hand on making this happen, and even if they weren't presenting up on stage, they accomplished something wonderful. And I really hope all of you feel how accomplished you are and what you've done for this community, because this was no small feat. And it is absolutely outstanding. And I just hope that every once in a while when you're driving up to Chappaq, you know that you made it what it is today. And so I thank you all.
Could I add something to the Don O'Leary thing? Don actually had to make and fabricate a tool in order to complete avoiding a disaster in the hallway that runs between music and ag science. And he had to fabricate that tool, and he did it and pulled it off. And he did it without anyone noticing what he was up to. It was brilliant.
But these are the moments in which I'm going to say there's a lot of those that happen behind the scenes, and it is appreciated every step of the way. So if there are not any questions about my update, I'm going to go on to appointments that we have.
Okay.
We would like to welcome Amber Lamuse, who will be the new library media specialist. Amber has a amazing energy and is so excited to take the reins from Joan Temple. When her and I talked about the future of the media center, and I said to her, well, you are also going to have to help pick out different software programs. We are not just about the books that are on the shelves. It's about all resources and opportunities. She said, oh my God, I get to do that? That's something I get to do. And there was just this excitement and an energy, and to know there's a passion coming in for our students being researchers and asking smart questions. And so we welcome Amber. Additionally, we have Barbara Nanasi. Barbara will be joining the Burnham team as a 3-5 teacher. Barbara is currently an assistant principal at New Milford. And Barbara, when having a conversation about returning to the classroom, she said during the pandemic, she had an awakening of what she really loved and wanted to get back to that. And is so excited because it's not just about going into a classroom. She has the new challenge of multi-age, and this is something that she's embracing. Her first question was, when can I get some extra professional development? I want to make certain I'm completely ready. And there's just again, this thirst to make our schools better. And we are so excited about this. And we hired Barbara's partner for this year. So we hired Annette Reddy. Annette is coming to us from Greenwich. She is a well-respected and well-recognized teacher. The beautiful thing is Annette's forte is language arts and Barbara's forte is mathematics. So I think we have a really nice coupling that will come together. They both understand the importance of their role, because we know how much multi-age was also impacted during the pandemic because the cohorting that needed to happen. So this is really that opportunity to redesign, reconfigure, and make it dynamic. And Pam and Jackie have done a wonderful job with the program, and it is in a perfect position to hand over. We welcome Sophia Velez as our new Director of School Counseling for Region 12. Sophia comes to us from Oxford Public Schools, where she is the Director of Counseling there. She rose through the ranks and now leads her department. And during her time there, she focused on college and career opportunities. Sophia shared during our interview that she herself is a first-generation college graduate. And she talked about the importance of guiding students because when they're not with parents who know what needs to happen in the college process, sometimes you're floundering and don't know where you're going to land. And in such an important decision, having someone who has that perspective, I think guiding our students in their next steps is wonderful. But additionally, she was also talking about how you need to regularly audit the student's trajectory to graduation, intervene and follow any students who may be off track and help them redesign their high school pathways. She also discussed the importance of transitioning our elementary school children and the importance of social emotional learning opportunities. So we are very excited to have Sophia join us here at Region 12. Additionally, we do have 2 transfers within the district. So Amanda Cashel will be going to Booth Free as a special educator. She has been working here at Chippewa for a number of years. And we welcome her expertise as Dr. Rue has transitioned to her principal position. And now we'll have Amanda supporting her in the special education role at Booth. Additionally, Jackie Cullentine, she has been at Burnham School. She will be moving to Booth Free as a 3rd grade teacher. And we know she is just going to have a lot of fun. If you've ever met Jackie, learning is fun. And we know it's going to be wonderful over at Booth.
If I'm not mistaken, that's a return to Booth for her. She was at Booth before she was at
That
Burnham.
is correct. So a repeat appearance. So she knows what she's getting into and is running back. So we're very excited for that. And just a notification to the board. If you had not seen last Christmas, Beth Harbison had brought our choral talents to the stage of Radio City Music Hall. And the students did an exceptional job. And it is something that they talked about. Well, in order to make certain that you get your spot in, you need to make these arrangements in April. And so Beth, being as diligent as she is, we will be repeating a performance at Radio City Music Hall, and that will take place on December 1st, 2022. So that concludes my updates and personnel notification.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to the treasurer's report. John, do you have anything for us? There you
Just
go.
a few thoughts, especially about this evening, which is for myself the highlight of the Board of Ed calendar. It is good to see the students and recognize the students and see and witness the fruit of our investment. This is what it's all about. I too went up to the open house about 4:30, and there was a young man in the shop, one of the shops, the mechanical shop. It looked like he had a router attached to a gearbox, and it moved back and forth and up and down, and it was driven by a computer program. And I said, is this going to be your senior? He was doing the FFA logo on a piece of plywood with this equipment that he built. He said he spent hundreds of hours putting it together, and he called it the CNC machine, which I know from metal shop, but he built it himself. He put all the parts together. His name was Cooper. I thought it was for his senior project, and he said, no, I'm only a sophomore. And it was really amazing to see the maturity and how advanced these students are. A couple of things about the treasurer's report. Between Megan and Nicole and Don, and they reached out to a solar firm. It's called Greenleaf Energy Solutions. And at the F&O committee, we discussed the possibility of having this gentleman come and do some design work and planning and site development and stuff like that. So hopefully over the years, I know it's been discussed before, but hopefully we can get together a solar system that will offset some of our electricity consumption. And over this past couple of weeks, Megan and Nicole have been working to transfer some budget line items, basically in the facilities and grounds upkeep and maintenance, and from some of the over budget to the under budget accounts. And it was like $52,143 was moved in the facilities and upkeep, and $18,864 from the school supplies, equipment, and technical issues. So that's about it.
Thank you, John. Move on to committee reports. Justin, curriculum.
Okay, so we met 2 weeks ago, and one of the things we discussed was an update on the 9th grade academy. Some of the goals are, kids helping kids. So the idea is that juniors and seniors would sort of act as mentors for 9th graders, kids to kids, kids helping kids rather. And also one of the goals is limiting incidents of bullying, improving attendance, and creating social connections. And then time-wise, the training will take place next year, the 2022-23 school year. And then this program will run in the 2024 school year. So we discussed that. And then we also discussed, what did we discuss? Oh, the handbook review, how sometimes board policy and the school handbook and regulations don't always match. And we also brainstormed some ways to encourage parents and children to actually read the handbook so that there's no surprise when a consequence may come down the road. And finally, we discussed the AP enrollment policy, which I believe we'll be discussing later tonight.
Okay, thank you. Joe, at Advance.
May 5th, I attended an in-person at Advance Board of Directors meeting. At that meeting, we approved 5 different action items pertaining to the Head Start Prenatal 5 program, which included a self-assessment plan, COLA and quality improvement fund applications, and early childhood innovation enhancement funding. We were also, we had 3 presentations. One was an audit report for this past year, the 2020-2021 year, which had their budget in a positive direction with excess funding that they will reapply back to the schools. Also, their initiatives for the following year and the budget will be continuing as they show cash reserves in a positive manner with many different applications that they have come from different funding. Also, their preliminary budget projected for the 2022-2023 year shows a small surplus, but they're hoping that it may turn out a little bit better. There were a couple of other items that we discussed, which have to do with a teacher innovation studio, which is offered at the workspace in Bethel, and that's a nomination-based application. And I believe that's offered to all the school districts. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Alex, Finance and Operations.
Yes, on Monday, May 16th, and for those of you keeping notes, that was my daughter's 34th birthday. We reviewed policies 3100 and 3320, which we will be dealing with later. John took most of the wind out of my sails about the finance side. One thing that I wanted to make clear is in these line item transfers, it was a zero balance. There was no plus or minus. It was just purely recategorizing. On the operations side, we discussed the parking lot at Washington Primary. And it was decided because of not being able to get in there and get the work done that we're going to postpone that for now. The equipment garage, the floor they couldn't pour the floor because everything was too wet. It's scheduled, I thought, to be done tomorrow, but I'm not sure if they have changed that. And it's looking for a July completion. And so we'll have to decide by July whether we're going to call it the equipment garage or Don's garage. We discussed windows. The windows have to be ordered 24 weeks in advance. So it looks like the window project won't be till November. And the last thing was solar, which John made reference to. I know Kevin Seabrick, the principal over at Greenleaf, and his kids went to school with my kids, and he's going to come and make a presentation to us. And there are different ways of doing solar, whether you own the panels, lease the panels, someone else owns them. But I'm excited also that we may be able to get some solar power here at the school. And that is it for me.
Okay. I have no labor negotiations report, so we'll move on to strategic long-range planning. Julie?
Hi, can everyone hear me? Can you hear
Hold on
me?
1 second, Julie.
Okay.
Okay, now we can hear you.
Okay, great. Sorry I couldn't be there tonight, but we did have a meeting earlier this evening for about an hour and a half of the Strategic Long Range Planning Committee, which was very productive. Richard Lemons was with us again, and we really picked up from where we left off in April. We had defined 6 strategic goals, and over the last month, Megan met independently with Richard to kind of pare those down to 4. So the committee was presented with those tonight, and we reworded a few of them to be a little more succinct and community-minded. We also reviewed our original mission and vision that the school had put together, I believe, in 2019, to make sure that those aligned with these long-range goals. And we decided that, in fact, those are still applicable and did not change those. We then drilled down into measures and metrics, and we're looking at lining up the metrics with each goal. And from there, we're going to line those up, get some electronic feedback, give more feedback to Richard. And then this summer, we're going to meet in small groups to really define those measures and metrics, which of course is the most important thing really to make sure we're able to measure what we want to do. And then finally, the continuous improvement piece, which is basically how do we review our goals, look at the metrics, decide what we're doing well, what we're doing not well, and then improve upon those that we need to. So we're trying to cover all our bases. We're making good progress. And as soon, of course, as we get a little further, we'll be presenting everything to the entire board.
Thank you, Julie.
Yep.
Well, that's it for reports and recognition. We have new business and updates. I don't think we have any on the agenda, so we'll move on to action items. And the first item I have is to consider and if appropriate, accept for a first reading, policy 6173, advanced placement enrollment in an advanced course or program and challenging curriculum as recommended by the Curriculum and Educational Programming Committee. So, Justin, are you going to take that?
So how about I start off, Justin, and you can talk a little bit about what we discussed in the curriculum. That this policy, it comes directly from Shipman. It is one that is required to make certain that all students have access to advanced course placement. So really thinking about how this board has spent a lot of time expanding college experience courses that we offer here at Chippewa. And so what this does is it provides a policy for how these are provided and to make certain that we're recognizing that there's teacher recommendations that are involved and that we are not unnecessarily biasing or not allowing underprivileged or underrepresented groups as if we are doing anything to prevent children from taking these advanced placement courses. In our conversation during the Curriculum and Education Planning Committee, we all discussed the fact that we don't have a barrier to students taking these classes. However, memorializing it in the policy became very important. So there was extra language that we had talked about that was optional. And if you want to talk about that, Justin, because we did make the decision to pull out some of that language. So I don't know if you want to share some of that.
Is it okay if I say?
Sure.
Okay. So originally and stop me if I'm. So originally the policy had mentioned parent involvement, parent choice in having their students sign up for these courses. And as a committee, we felt that it was best kept out of the parents' hands here and really focusing on these measures of academic achievement that are mentioned here, recommendations from teachers, administrators, school counselors, or other school personnel.
Okay. Is there anything?
Does anyone have questions on the policy or?
No.
You need a motion or do we just do a motion for all four at once?
Well, why don't we take them one at a time? This would be a motion. I'd entertain a motion to accept for a first reading policy 6173, advanced placement enrollment in advanced course or program and challenging curriculum.
So moved.
Recommended by the Curriculum and Educational Programming Committee. Is it so moved?
Yep.
Moved by Joe. Is there a second?
Second.
Yes, we heard Mary second. I'll give that second to Mary. Okay, further discussion. I think this is terrific. I really appreciate your having brought this forward. I think this is exactly what we need here, and I think it dovetails nicely with everything we're trying to do. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying like the mission.
Yeah.
Helps with all that. So.
No. Well done. Okay, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand and saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All those abstaining? I believe it's unanimous. Second action item, to consider and if appropriate, accept as a first reading, revision to policy 3100, board budget procedures and line item transfers.
So I'm just going to give an overview. One of the wise things that was said by Alex McNaughton when we adopted our policies from Shipman Goodwin is, and as we're using them, we can take a look, and if they don't work, we will revisit and certainly tweak it. And we hit a policy that I think, as Paul was we've recognized, we've created our own red tape, and maybe we're a little bit more restrictive in some of these practices. And so therefore, looking at the different line items, we want to make certain that we have accountability. However, we need to take a look at how that is being used through the system. And so I will leave it up to the F&O committee if they want to talk about the policy that has been worked for.
Okay. Alex, do you have anything to add?
The only thing I want to add is basically the policy that came from Shipman and Goodwin did not allow us to make light item transfers. Ironically, I think that maybe we got a little ahead of changing the policy, but it was a bad policy. So I think it's a good idea to change it.
Okay. Anyone else? All right. It's been moved. We need a motion to adopt it. Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Further discussion. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand and saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All those abstaining? I see none opposed, none abstaining. It's unanimous. Okay, number 3, to consider and if appropriate, except for a first reading, the revision of policy 3320 on purchasing.
So again, a similar situation that we saw in the last policy. In this one, specifically when we talked about instructional versus non-instructional materials, because if we were to come every time it was an instructional decision, it really, we wouldn't be able to operate smoothly. So same situation that we had with the last policy. Appreciate Nicole Grant's efforts going through, changing, but making certain that the board is able to track. And if you notice on all of these policies, the red line that's there, you can see how it is evolving and why that practice was in place. So I appreciate the work on that, Nicole.
Okay. Further, well, I'll put this way, do we have a motion to approve for first reading revision to policy 3320? Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Further discussion. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand and saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All those abstaining? I see no opposition or abstaining. It is unanimously approved. And then finally, to consider and if appropriate, approve the payment of up to $54,300 for architect elementary school surveys from the Elementary Capital Non-Recurring Fund. What I would like to do is put a motion to get it on the table, and then we'll have discussion of it, presentation and discussion. So is there a motion to approve? Moved by Jen. Is there a second? Seconded by Joe. Moved, seconded. Okay, further, let's go for the discussion. Pete has a question.
Sure. So we have talked about our elementary buildings and recognizing the level of care right now that they need, how much maintenance is involved. We've had the selectmen through each of the buildings. At this point, we need to get an actual price point on what it's going to take to bring buildings up to code, up to maintenance, and even if we wanted to move to renovate to new. So we constantly talk about how expensive our buildings are to repair, and the numbers that we are using are now 20 years old. So in order to provide relevance on what are we actually talking about expense, we need to be able to recognize what do we want to invest in going forward. So as we engage in these architects, it's really to provide a menu of choices. It's for us to recognize what it is going to cost to care for our buildings. And as I've said to this board before, it's not easy, nothing is easy, but it is easier to get a building project done at Chicago because our 3 towns all come together at Chicago. It is harder when we're talking about our elementary buildings. So at this point, what we need to do is we need to actually have the dollars and cents that we're talking about, talk in terms of objectives rather than us all having an opinion that is based on older numbers. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. And So Peter's question, I'm just going to say this out loud to the people who are on the screen, is really trying to figure out what are we trying to get? Is this about, renovating, or where's the price tag? And that's exactly what this is this is our ability to look at what is the price and then make decisions on where is it best to invest our money? What is the palette of the towns? Because the arguments of what does it take to upkeep something, we also recognize that energy efficiencies, we are not energy efficient in our buildings. So what does it take to move that needle? And is that something that our public is willing to take a look at? But right now, all we have is opinions. And until we actually have these hard numbers, which is what we're trying to get from these architects, then we're debating thoughts and not actuals. So they're going to give us 3 different funnels. So the question is like whether or not we're going to have them. What does it cost to make it brand new? And I'm going to say to you, this is not about new construction. We have not put a price tag on that. This would be how do we bring it up to maintenance standards? How do we bring things up to code? Or if we were going to actually renovate to new, what is the price tag involved with that? And the board can then evaluate what is the best investment for our elementary. So this is the start of the conversation on how do we create better learning environments in the elementary schools? What is it going to take to repair some of the buildings? Because I can tell you right now, we have elevators in our schools that we can't get parts for anymore. And the HVAC systems in which Don is on the phone to the Netherlands in order to get the parts that we can't get here. And so we need to figure out, is it best to continue to chase down parts that are now becoming obsolete and we are being charged exorbitant amounts of money because they're the only gates in town? Or is it better to actually invest in having something newer? And what does that look like? So this, again, I don't know the outcome of this, Pete. This is now us getting an architect to say, this is what it actually is going to cost. And then we can start debating on what do we want to do. And right. I'm going to turn it over to Nicole because I know she wants to answer the question on whether or not getting the current day standards and what it's looking like. And I know we specifically chose an architect that was recognizing the honoring the building.
That's an issue. If we went through the building, upgrade, sure the building right now, this
it will start to bring up some of the problems. Now I'm going to say we've identified some of these problems years ago, but now costs change and inflation is there. And so now this is what are our real dollars. But Nicole, I'm not going to trample on. I want to have you speak to.
So we put out an RFP to hire this architect for services, and we asked for 3 things for each building. So we should expect to see 3 different numbers for each building. One is the number that it will cost to perform critical fixes. The second is the number it will cost to update all major systems to code, and the third being to renovate to new. So the firm that we chose has expertise working with historical buildings and modernizing them while keeping their historical charm. So what we're asking for tonight with this action item is to use money from the CNR fund, the elementary CNR fund, to pay the architect's bill. That's the motion that we're asking to have passed.
All right. Other questions? John?
Yeah, just for the record, what is the current balance of the elementary capital non-recurring fund?
There's 218,000.
218. $218,000.
Mhm. Right.
Any other? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mary.
Any,
Mary, can you try again? No, can't.
Try it again, Mary.
well, all the three different proposals, will all of them have to go to referendum?
At this point, it's information. What you do with the information is up to the board, but I think that we've continued to talk about this and circle it, and we're using old information to make future decisions. And I think we need to talk in terms of what is current and what is the current needs of the building. So the question of whether this goes to referendum or how this looks or how we're going to choose to repair the buildings, this is just information gathering so you can make those next decisions.
Okay. Further questions? All right. I presume everybody has reviewed this proposal. You've looked to see what's included, what's not included. At this point, if there's no further questions or further input, we'll put this to a vote. It's been moved and seconded. So, I'm sorry? Yeah, it was moved and seconded. And so if there are no further questions or further discussion, I'll let that go a couple times, just in case. Okay. If all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand and saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All those abstaining? Mary,
Me.
are you abstaining?
Yes.
You're raising your hand. Okay, go ahead.
No, I'm abstaining, yes.
Oh, you're abstaining. Okay. So we have one abstaining. Julie, you voted aye, right? So we have one abstaining. We have 11 voting aye. So it's 11-0-1. Okay. That's that on that. There was one thing I want to make sure is there anyone that cannot attend our next meeting, which is scheduled for June 13th? That is the last meeting we have scheduled before the end of the fiscal year. At that meeting, I presume there will be a motion perhaps made to make a contribution to that, to our 2% fund. And we cannot fail to do that in June. If we don't do it in June, we don't do it. So if you can't make that meeting, I need to know as soon as possible. We need a quorum. We need 7 people.
I was gonna say, you wanna put a motion on, you can certainly put it on now.
Well, we could, if we are prepared to do that, because this is a regular meeting. So with a 2/3 vote, we can add an item to the agenda. All right, is there a motion to add to the agenda to consider and if appropriate? Oh, I forget the right exact words. Maybe we better wait till the next meeting. I don't have the language. I think it's transfer from the operating account to the. Oh, yes, go ahead. Nicole will give us, we'll put it out there and then someone can move it.
I don't know what we're doing. They want us to take a deal right now, right? The teachers want us to take a deal right now. On whole new. Well, yeah, but I can understand why. Because they could lose, but they could win or lose. Does it pay?
Shouldn't it be in the minutes of the meeting? Well, I don't, it's $460,000, so I really, or thereabouts, so I don't really want to miss doing it this year. And crazy stuff happens in June with COVID out there, you know, we could have a, you never know. So I'd like to get it in if we could. Just give us 1 second here. Oh, get rid of this stupid thing. Okay. Yes, please. Okay, did you all hear that? And that was the correct amount for this year? 479. Okay. Okay, is there a motion?
We weren't able to hear it
Joe
online.
moved, is there a second? John seconded.
We couldn't hear it.
Oh, Julie, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, we couldn't hear it.
We just need to hear the motion, that's all.
479
732
732
74.
74. Okay, 479 732 74. Did you get that, Julie?
Yes, I didn't
Okay,
hear the
good.
entire motion, but I'll get
She's
it.
saying something I can't hear her.
It's okay, it's fine.
Can you repeat that?
Mary
No.
and I could not hear the motion. Okay. I see it in writing. Thank you. I got it.
Nicole has added it to the chat if you want to take a look at it. But it
I
says to
see it.
consider and if appropriate, approve the transfer of $479,732.74 to the 2% non-recurring capital reserve fund.
Yes, the motion is to add.
Yes.
All those in favor of that motion to add it to the agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All those abstaining? I see no abstentions. I see no opposition. We will now, I'll accept the motion to approve the transfer of $479,732.74 to the 2% non-recurring capital reserve fund. Is that so moved? It's moved by Joe. Is there a second? Seconded by John. And is there further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand and saying aye.
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 All those opposed? All those abstaining? I see none opposed and none abstaining. So that is done. And now I can breathe a sigh of relief. Thank you all very much. At this point in time, I would entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss a matter of personnel and salary negotiation with the Chippewa Valley Education Association. Moved. Is there a second? Seconded by Jane. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand and saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All those abstaining? It's unanimous. We are going into executive session.